Welcome to the 16th season of the Nitwits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Sports Director Casey Kantz of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest analyst each week. The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker. No one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
Alrighty, folks, welcome inside another edition of the Nitwits, the real deal Neil Riddell, Mark Brennan as well. We got Keith Goon Conlon. What's up, Goon?
What's going on, fellas?
Welcome back.
Good to be back, baby.
Yeah, Keith, we've missed you.
We missed you. How you been? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's going very well.
All right, let's get into this thing. Penn State back on track with a 34-0 win at Beaver Stadium over Kent State on Saturday, improving them to 3-1. Guys, a little bit of a slow start. Maybe the conditions played into that a bit, but it's a team you got to beat, Kent State, and they certainly did it in the second half.
Why don't we let Keith,
Sure, let's kick it off.
Serve first.
Yeah.
I was happy about it. I mean, yeah, they started off slow, coming off a tough loss last week, came out well, and defense shut them down pretty good and ran the ball well, threw the ball okay, and it all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got the idea that they could have named the score if they would have continued to go on the ground, but clearly this was the first time that Christian Hackenberg experienced some adversity in a game, and Bill O'Brien obviously wanted to let him work through that, which they're going to need. So I found that to be kind of intriguing because they probably could have put the game away in a shorter period of time with a more lopsided score.
Yeah, a couple things. I love the way the offensive line has just continued to get better and better. I didn't think they were as good as we thought maybe they might be early in the season, but they seem to be getting better and better, and they're doing their best work late in games, which tells me a couple things. They're in good shape. They're playing 7, 8 guys, so they're keeping people fresh. I really like to see that. Hackenberg struggled, but I bet you eventually he's going to be a better player. You knew this was going to come at some point. He wasn't going to be this phenom in every single game, and I think getting this out of the way before the Big Ten season hits is good because you're able to do that in a game where, as Neil said, you're kind of comfortable. And listen, Bill O'Brien said it afterward, people should be talking about the defense. They took a lot of heat after the UCF game, rightfully so, because they didn't play particularly well. They pulled it together, albeit not against a great team, but I think it showed some character that they were able to toughen up and come out and pitch a shutout.
And perfect segue. Let's go right. We'll talk a little bit more about the offense in just a bit. But like Coach said after the game, the defense pitched a shutout Saturday. And actually, the second time in 3 weeks where the defense hasn't allowed a point, albeit against a Kent State team and an Eastern Michigan team. But we're seeing some great things from that defense right now.
Yeah, I think they made some adjustments. Kent State actually came out okay on offense. They ran 34 plays in the first 4 series, and then only got 26 the next 10 series, or 26 the first 4. I'm not good with math, and then 34 over the next 10. So they really kind of made some adjustments pretty quickly.
Don't tell John Urschel that. I'm going to get you a lesson over here. What'd you see from that D?
I'd be out of my league.
You know me, I'm a lineman, offensive lineman, but it started up front with the defense. I mean, a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I thought that Barnes had his best game of the year.
Yes.
He needed to have that game, and he came up with it and had a lot of pressure on that quarterback, and starts up front and works his way back from there.
And Dion's been a guy, Mark, who's been vocal about saying, I don't like to leave sacks out on the field, and we hadn't seen Dion have a sack this year until yesterday. It was good to see that, and a good game from Ryan Kaiser, too. Had the big pick after Hack for the interception.
Yeah, I think overall their secondary after it was a little dicey early, but I think they came together. I was glad to see that they went back to Trevor Williams after replacing him late in the UCF game. They rotated Amos over there. Williams still had a couple of problems against Kent State, but they are going to need both of those guys, Williams and Lucas, for the long term. And I think both of these guys are going to be fine. They're still relatively young, but I like the way that they played. And listen, you talk about Ryan Kaiser. He's just the latest example of one of these former run-ons who's making an impact and doing some good things. Banged up his hand a little bit. We don't know the extent, but hopefully the off week gives him a chance to get healthy.
Yeah, Lucas, I thought, had a pretty strong game.
Yeah, 4 pass breakups. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
they closed on the ball pretty well.
Yeah, very critical of the defense after last week, of course, and I think we were critical of the cornerbacks, and they stepped up, got back on track on Saturday, as did the team. How about the offense, though, and kind of a three-headed monster, if you will, with this running game they have right now, and it is pretty unique to have a three-headed monster, Zach Zwinak, Billy Belt, and Marshawn Lynch, Akeel Lynch. He reminds me of Marshawn Lynch. That's why I said Marshawn Lynch. But what are you seeing from them so far? Good, another big day for them on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, again, starts up front with the guys in the offensive line. But, you know, with the freshman quarterback, you knew that they were going to start stacking the box against us until Hackenberg proved that he could beat them with his arm.
Yeah.
And in the first couple of games, it was an 8-man front. Tough to run on those. But as Hackenberg loosened them up with Robinson and throwing the ball around to the tight ends, it opens the run game up a lot. And, you know, getting 260-plus yards rushing yesterday says a lot. In that weather, that's the perfect weather. You know, the national anthem's playing, the rain's coming down. I was up in the box. I was like, oh, I wish I was down there. I could give it a couple more plays.
I thought this was Belton's best game.
Yeah.
You know, he showed some real quick feet and power, and they all were making a lot of yards after contact. But you know, when the game was still being shaped, Belton was, I think, the difference.
Yeah, I was watching a retrospective of the '94 team. They had a couple of tackles who ran real well. I was amazed. You should see Goon running there. I'm giving him his props because he could move. But you know what? The one guy on that team who reminds me so much of Belton is Mike Archie. Just a kind of do-it-all guy, can catch passes, can run the ball, shifty, nice change of pace. The only thing we haven't seen from Bill Belton that Archie used to do is throw that pigskin, and I bet you, because Belton was a high school quarterback, I'm waiting to see that.
Is he a left-hander?
Is
Archie left-handed?
Archie was not, no.
Okay.
But Goon, he'll tell you, they used to kid Kerry Collins. That
Used to
Archie,
get mad at us.
yeah, Archie had a better quarterback rating than Kerry Collins.
2 for 2, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And Kerry used to be, I'm the quarterback, shut up.
That's not the words you were using when we were driving.
They weren't the words Kerry used either.
Yeah.
Well,
They're fighters.
We'll talk about that in a bit, too. Some funny stuff from Coach's post-game comments there. We'll hear from him coming up in a bit. We're going to step out and take our first break, though, get the guys' thoughts on Christian Hackenberg through 4 games. Not his best start of the year on Saturday. We'll talk about that in just a bit. You're watching the Nitwits. Stay with us.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental.
I'm Deion Barnes from your Penn State Nittany Lions. You're watching the Nitwits.
Alrighty, Deion, nice game for him, guys, on Saturday. Christian Hackenberg has controlled the offense and looked beyond his years for much of the early stages of this season. He's built up some great chemistry with junior wideout Allen Robinson, too. But Allen was a marked man on Saturday. Yet at times, guys, if you were watching that, it seemed like Hackenberg still wanted to go to him a bit, maybe force some passes to his top target this year. Did you notice that?
Yeah. I thought that, you know, Kent State clearly was not in the same caliber, but I thought they defended Robinson really well and held up in one-on-one coverage better than you would thought an opponent like that would be able to.
So too,
Yeah, I think the learning process for Hackenberg is you have a guy who's as good as Robinson, and he could basically in the first few games go to him whenever he wanted as kind of a safety valve, and that wasn't the case. So when that happens, I think it seemed to me and maybe I have to go back and look at the tape, as the coaches say it, as if there were other guys who may have been open at different times that he was trying to force the ball to Robinson. But again, listen, this is, you have to remember this guy's a true freshman, and this is a learning experience, and I think it's actually good that it hit before they hit the Big Ten, because if this happens against a better opponent, they're going to be in some real trouble.
Yeah, Goon, it's what we do is analyze a little bit, but like Mark said, I mean, this kid is a true freshman. He's through his first 4 games. But what have you seen from him overall?
I'm very, very impressed with everything about him. How he talks to the media, how he talks to the team. You can see that the guys look at him in the huddle. I mean, he's 18 years old, and that's the biggest thing about it, playing quarterback, is you have to control the huddle, and he controls the huddle. The offensive linemen are all, I know he's the only one talking in there, but he controls it, and the guys listen to him. So he has that. He's a good leader on top of being a great player. I can't say a bad word about him, really.
The confidence that they're showing in him, throwing out of their own end zone, because the punter for Kent State had a pretty good game also.
He did.
And they pinned him deep, but yet Bill O'Brien seems to have, and the dynamics on the sideline, he just really kind of goes after Hackenberg. And he talked last week about how Hackenberg is pretty calm and Bill is not all that calm. So it's
Did you notice that?
We didn't know who the starting quarterback obviously would be up until 24 hours or so before the kickoff against Syracuse, and then obviously in that game we saw them both early on, Tyler Ferguson and Christian Hackenberg. Have you? Hackenberg's been fantastic. He's been very good through 4 games. Have you thought we'd maybe see Ferguson a little bit more at this point? No.
Not after the way we've seen Hackenberg play. It seemed to me as if this is your guy going forward. This is no disrespect meant toward Tyler Ferguson, but as Goon was mentioning, he's got some pretty special characteristics, not just athletically, but kind of leadership-wise. And if you roll back to last year and you saw the way that Bill O'Brien handled Matt McGloin, that was basically he's a one quarterback guy. And my surprise, maybe a little bit, but I'm not kind of blown away by it.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I thought maybe there was a chance yesterday to bring Ferguson in just to get Hackenberg to watch a series. But that's when you start to build storylines that aren't there, and I'm going to defer the quarterback handling to O'Brien. I think he deserves that.
Why mess with things?
Yeah.
I agree with that totally. Hey, still a lot to come. A noticeable tradition was back at Beaver Stadium for the Nittany Lion faithful.
And we're all going to sing it.
Yes. We'll have the words scrolling on your screen. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about also a funny sequence during Bill O'Brien's post-game press conference. You're not going to want to miss that. It's all coming up. Stay with us.
The Nitwits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal.
I'm Matt McGloin. You're watching the Nitwits.
You guys need to ask me some defensive questions. They're all offensive questions right now. Defense just pitched a shutout, and you guys were all over them last week, and they just pitched a shutout. So can we get some defensive questions or what? No? I thought the defense played a hell of a football game today. They pitched a shutout, and I think John Butler and that crowd of coaches over there and that crowd of players over there did a hell of a job.
Bill, for a minute there, it sounded like you were going to say you have a bunch of fighters.
You know what, I do, and we do. We have a bunch of fighters and fantastic kids. I don't know anyone that debates me on that. It's like my mom. She still doesn't believe I said fighters. Do I look like the type of guy that swears?
Oh my God!
What's better, the fact that he was on national TV arguing with Tom Brady, or that he admits to debating his mom over the use of fighters?
That's just another thing that he's had a lot of those this year. His interaction with the media has been fantastic.
I think he's clearly having fun.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing. And the other thing is he's very aware of I know Joe always said that he never really read the papers, so he didn't have time to react to certain things, and there's something to be said for that. But O'Brien's listening to the radio on the way home from a game, and he's bringing things up, and he's aware of what not only the media but the fans think.
He could have a little bit of a thin skin, but I don't mind that because as he goes off on the defensive thing, and then you hit him with a question, he's more than happy to start laughing about it then, which I think there's kind of a give and take there that I enjoy. I'm just worried about the day he calls Ficken a fighter, because that could be really scary.
Speaking of Ficken.
Yeah, 54-yarder yesterday. That was fantastic to see, and especially off what he came off of last year.
No doubt. I mean, you're just proud of him. You're happy for him.
Yeah.
You're proud of him. He's definitely like the most improved player possibly in the country right now of what he went through last year and how he's playing right now.
54 yards in those conditions, too. I mean, that was great. If you were at Beaver Stadium on Saturday, you noticed they brought back a little tradition, Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline. Maybe should have never left in the first place.
No maybe about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually attended a concert at the Mishler Theater in this summer where they had the real Diamond guy that goes around the country. And at one point, he just interrupted everything and said, did they really cancel that at Penn State? That's about Carolyn Kennedy.
Yeah.
So I think that was long overdue to bring back.
You know what, let's give, as critical as we've been about the way they've mishandled different things, listen, maybe that was mishandled, but let's give them credit for bringing them back.
Sure.
And I also thought it was cool the way they did it. I don't know if people were paying attention, but they did a countdown clock.
Yeah.
And you could hear you could feel, even in the press box, and however many people were there, kind of the anticipation building, and then people just went nuts. So I thought it was fun, and let's give them credit for getting something right.
You're saying the people that were there were happy about it, but the people, they deserve a lot of credit for sitting out there that long for that game.
My gosh, yeah.
I mean, they were pushing 60 or 70,000, but a lot of them stayed. It was amazing.
No let up. I mean, that rain was constant all day.
It was great. It was good to see it, for the kids, for the players, and for the coaches, and to see all the crowd out there like that.
Goon gritted it out in a luxury suite.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah,
he went outside.
My socks got wet in the wind. I was a little upset.
You're wearing socks.
I know. You'd be amazed. You would be amazed at how many people make fun of me about not wearing socks on my first Nitwits show.
Well, what do you say we step out one final time? We'll set up the plan for the bye week when we come back. We'll also unveil the Week 4 Nitwit of the Week. Stay with us.
The Nitwits are brought to you by The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
I'm Malcolm Willis from the Penn State Nittany Lions, and you're watching the Nitwits.
Yes, you are. Penn State's hit their first of 2 bye weeks. Time for a little rest. Perhaps the best part, too, guys, this team pushes towards the Indiana game relatively healthy. Goon, what is a bye week like? What do you guys do as a former player?
It really depends.
You don't want to know what they did.
Yeah, it really depends on how the last game went. Because I mean, if you go into a bye with a loss, the old man wasn't too happy about that. You'd have a couple grueling practices. It is rest. Get you. They've played 4 weeks in a row right now. It's tough. Going into camp 4 straight weekends of playing, and you need a couple days off here and there, and they'll have off next weekend. It's always nice to go home, hit the high school up, see a little,
You guys don't get a chance to go home that much, though. The players, especially, it's become a 13-month, pretty much stay up there in the summer. How much of the players cautioned of, hey, you're going home, you're going to be some of your old friends, behave?
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. It's also the travel. I mean, when UCLA lost a kid a couple weeks ago in a car accident coming home from a bye week, or you never want to see something like that happen. But it is get away, get your mind. You're still thinking about the season, still thinking about football, but it is nice getting home and seeing family, get some home cooked meals too.
Keith, while we have, I want to get your thoughts to something you said earlier about Sam Ficken being the most improved player. He's talked to Robbie Gould, who's kind of maybe helped him progress a little bit more. That whole Penn State family and how special and unique that is when a current player can talk to a former player. Obviously, Robbie's having some success with the Bears. How cool that is.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to help these guys out as much as you can. I mean, I can't imagine somebody reaching out and talking to somebody. I mean, you imagine playing linebacker here. You're a freshman or sophomore at Penn State playing linebacker. There's about 11 guys in the NFL you can call right now and say, how did you get through this? I mean, I know Dan Connor got hurt last week, so there's a guy right there talking about how's he going to get through injuries and stuff like that. Offensive line, it's always about a 4 or 5 year window. I had guys like John Jurek, Todd Rucci, Greg Huntington, who were right above me. I was a freshman and they were seniors who were in the NFL. They'd call back and you talk to them and they'd give you their little 2 cents about how anything you do to help out. So,
what the great thing about the Fick and Gold story is that they had met previously when Gold visited. It was sometime earlier before Ficken had his struggles last year, and Gold gave Ficken his number and said, "You know what? You ever want to talk? Call me." When Ficken was struggling, he didn't call Robbie Gold. Robbie Gold called him.
Wow.
What does that tell you about an NFL guy seeing this kid struggling? And what could I do to help you out? And he did, and they worked on his steps, and they cut out. He was doing 2.5 steps, cut it down to 1, or cut it down to 2. I'm sorry. And look at the results. But I think the fact that you have the former player, an NFL All-Pro, calling this kid was something else.
Yeah,
special
he was a class
story.
kid. Plus, he apparently emails video to Gold, or somebody does to help.
Real quick, our 15 seconds, our Nitwit of the Week.
Mike Irwin.
Yeah.
Mike, fear the chair.
Jeez, man. Irwin's on a roll right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Goon, thanks for joining us, man. We will be with you in the bye week, too. For the panel, I'm Casey. We'll talk to you next week.
The Nitwits have been brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the Nitwits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.